Good morning, everybody. Jeremy Brunansky here with Brunansky's Vlog, ready for another episode of Brunansky's Vlog right here on YouTube. It's Monday morning. It's 10 a.m. MST, right? Not PST. Had to reshuffle some things today because of the whole daylight savings. So we are broadcasting today at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time instead of Pacific Standard Time. So thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you are following along on Twitter, because Twitter is where we do the updates for the show and everything like that. So Twitter was updating everybody about the show time. So hopefully you are following along on Twitter and this was not a big surprise to you. We've got a big show today. If you're not following us on Twitter, it's just at Brunansky's Vlog. So we've got a big show today. We're going to talk some movie news. We're going to take a look at Mickey's 90th birthday celebration last night, the television special that was on. Then we're also going to go ahead and take a look at Certified Rad. We're going to take a look at what's hitting theaters, what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater. We're going to take a look at movies that are part of a tradition, right? So November movie traditions that I have. We'll see if you guys have any as well. And we're going to take a look at the weekend box office here in the news segment. So we have got a lot to talk about. I got out to the theater to see 2 movies. We're going to take a look at those. But before we get into this week's episode, let me go ahead and just get the commercials out of the way. As you just heard, make sure you're following us on Twitter at Brunansky's Vlog. Also, if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for joining us. Every Monday at 10 a.m., we do a live show right here on YouTube where we talk movie news, movie reviews, and a little bit more. So click the subscribe button if you're a movie fan. Also, don't forget to hit the bell so you get the notifications when new content drops. And make sure that you give us the thumbs up as well, because the thumbs up helps people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. Now, finally, last bit of info before we get into this week's episode. If, as we move into the holiday season, if you are interested in starting your own YouTube channel, your own Facebook live stream, your own Twitch stream, if you've got family that is creative and they've been talking about trying to do their own thing as well with, audio, video stuff, making movies or whatever, there is down below in the description box some links to some items that I think might help people get started creating their own online content. So go ahead and expand the box, check out those links, and that will kind of get you guys set up for the holidays. So we got Christmas is coming up. It's going to be here really soon. So check out those links if you're interested in starting your own channel, or if you've got family or friends that are interested, this might help them out. Also, as we go through this week's show, we're going to be talking some news stories and everything else. All of those articles are down below in that same description box. So just hit the little arrow, expand the description box, and then we are going to go ahead and let you guys have an opportunity to read through the articles and everything else that we discuss on this week's show. All right, so let's go ahead and move now into the news segment. We've got some cool things to talk about today. Not too many because of all the other things we've got to talk about, but we do have 1 or 2 news stories that we're going to look at. Then we'll get into movie reviews. Then we're going to get into what's arriving in theaters, what's arriving on DVD, Certified Rad, movie traditions in November, and more. So here we go. Let's go ahead now and jump right into the news. All right, there we go. Down below, you can see we got the ticker tape running. That is the honorable mention section, right? News stories that popped off that I saw. I was like, well, that's pretty cool, but we didn't have enough time to talk about it in this 30-minute show. So check your eyes down below. Keep your eyes running on that ticker tape. There's some news stories there if you want to check those out. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the weekend box office report now. So this weekend, I got out to the theater to see 2 films. I got out to see Bohemian Rhapsody, and I got out to see Nutcracker in the 4 Realms. So stay tuned. My full review happening right after the news segment during this show. So don't go anywhere after the news is done, because I've got those movie reviews coming for you. But let's take a look at the weekend box office, and let's see what you guys got out to the movies to watch this weekend. Now, we're going to go from number 5 to number 1. This is coming to us from Box Office Mojo. Again, down below in the description box, you can click that link. It'll take you right to it. So coming in at number 5, we have Halloween at $11,015,000. Coming in at number 4, A Star is Born at $11,100,000. Coming in at number 3, Nobody's Fool at $14 million. Nutcracker in the 4 Realms coming in at number 2 at $20 million. And then way out in the front, coming in with a killer queen lead, is Bohemian Rhapsody at $50 million. So there you go. There's your top 5. Out of these 5, is there anything that really stands out? Well, not really. I think this is a pretty solid list for top 5. I am a little surprised to see that A Star is Born in its 5th week is still in the top 5. I really enjoyed the movie. I had some issues not really necessarily with the story, but how much time we actually get to spend getting to know the two main characters versus how much time we watch them rehearse and everything else. For more information, you can go ahead and just go to the movie review playlist on this channel. My full review is there. You can check out more thoughts there, but I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was really good. I like the songs in it. It's real rock and roll. Really dug it. But again, just, you know, give me more time getting to know the two main characters versus watching them rehearse and perform. I would have enjoyed that more. Halloween, I mean, that did gangbusters, right? Opening weekend. It's still got a pretty good cult following. From what I've seen online, people still enjoy it. Not too surprised it's in the top 10. Not too surprised it's in the top 5 here in its 3rd week. So still doing pretty good numbers. Nobody's Fool coming in opening weekend, landing at number 3. I think that speaks to just how kind of what the climate is, right? People want to laugh. People want to have a good time. It's the holidays now. You know, we get Thanksgiving. Well, the holiday season really starts at, you know, Halloween, right? So you have Halloween, and then we go right into November. We've got Veterans Day. We've got Thanksgiving, and then we've got Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then we go into December. We've got all of the holidays in December as well for Christmas and everything else. So from Halloween forward, it's just a nonstop rush of people being in a good mood, right? Everybody turns into like a super happy person. America basically turns into Canada for a while because everyone's super nice to each other because it's the holidays. And that's kind of where we go. So people like to laugh. People like to have a good time. People want to celebrate the holidays. Not too surprising to see that a comedy comes out and lands in the number 3 spot opening weekend. Nutcracker in the Four Realms, I enjoyed it, but I also kind of was like, meh, it's, you know, pretty predictable. My biggest complaint with this film is it's very, very predictable. The twists and the turns you can kind of see coming from all the way down the road. So yeah, that's just a real quick thought on that, but not surprised. It is a Christmas movie. I still don't understand why Christmas movies come out at the beginning of November, way before Thanksgiving. I just don't get it. I get if you know, don't want people to like have to worry about spending money on Christmas presents versus Christmas movies. I guess that makes sense, but I just don't understand why these movies for Christmas come out well before Thanksgiving. It just doesn't make any sense in my head. It's confusing. Bohemian Rhapsody, not too surprised there. I will be more surprised if we see it maintain its numbers in its 2nd week. I had some real big problems with this film as far as story goes because I don't think they knew what story they wanted to tell. And that was a problem for me. So I felt like there was like 3 different movies they wanted to make. And then all 3 of those movies got squished into this movie. So if you're not a fan of Queen, and I am a fan of Queen, I'm a big fan of Queen. I think Freddie Mercury might be one of the greatest rock singers of all time. He's right up there with Chris Cornell. These guys just have rock and roll voices. You know, you want to go back further into like the rock and roll, right? Then you get into like Roy Orbison, and then you get into Elvis and stuff like that. But then go even further back to the granddaddy of all the vocalists, Bing Crosby, the first real American pop singer who really like set the mark for what it means to be a pop vocal superstar. And that was Bing Crosby. So, I mean, you can go back and you can look at all these different voices, but as far as like rock, not like rock and roll from the 50s going into the 60s, but like straight rock, you know, Freddie Mercury and Chris Cornell, 2 guys that have incredibly powerful voices. So as a big fan of Queen, I kind of expected a lot of what I saw in this movie, but I don't know if the casual movie-going fan who just wants to see if this is going to be a good movie is going to enjoy it, because it's so divided between what I think is 3 different stories all trying to happen at once, when it should just be, in my opinion, one story about 4 members in a band called Queen. So I will be curious to see what happens from week 1 to week 2 with this movie. I could be alone in my assumption of like what they were trying to accomplish with this film. But again, 3 different stories squished into one movie just didn't work for me. But I might be alone in that, because Cinema Score, they gave it an A, and the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 95% fresh. I would not give this movie an A. I would give it like maybe a C or a C minus. And my audience score would definitely not help that 95% fresh. Top Critics gave it a 44% rotten. So oddly, I feel I am in line with the critics, which does not usually happen. So Top Critics gave it a 44% rotten. Audience score gave it a 95% fresh. Cinema Score gave it an A. I'm well far removed from the audience score as far as that's concerned. Nutcracker, though, 25% rotten by Top Critics. The audience score gave it a 43% rotten, and Cinema Score gave it a B+. I don't know that I would give it a B plus. It'd probably fall within like a C or a B minus. I actually enjoyed Nutcracker in the Four Realms more than I enjoyed Bohemian Rhapsody as far as like kind of visually and like stylized and everything like that. I thought even though the Nutcracker in the Four Realms is super predictable, the story makes sense and it feels like that's the story they wanted to tell versus Bohemian Rhapsody, where it's like we have 3 stories we want to tell and we don't have enough time, so just squish it together and try and make something of it. So there you go. But let's jump into the top 10 real quick. We've got The Hate U Give coming at number 10, Hunter Killer at number 9, Goosebumps 2 at number 8, Smallfoot at number 7, Venom at number 6. Venom finally out of the top 5 spot, still hanging in there in the top 10. Big surprise for me out of all of these is going to be Smallfoot, still in the top 10 in its 6th week. Smallfoot was a fun movie. I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed the movie. You can check out my review for that. That's up there. Hunter Killer. It dropped out of 8 theaters, but it's still in the top 10. I really enjoyed Hunter Killer as well. So out of all the films in the top 10, Hunter Killer, Smallfoot, Venom, A Star is Born, Nutcracker in the Four Realms, Bohemian Rhapsody. These are all movies I've seen and reviewed here on the channel, so go ahead and check them out. We're going to move on now. Let me know what you guys thought about the top 10. Did you get out to see Bohemian Rhapsody? Did you see Nobody's Fool? Did you see Nutcracker in the Four Realms? Let us know in the comments below. Are you surprised by any of these numbers in the weekend box office? Hit up that comment section. That is what it's there for. All right, coming in the first news story, official news story of the day, we're going to be taking a look at an article from Hollywood Reporter. Again, description box below. Check it out. Leonardo DiCaprio and Andy Muschietti are going to be tackling H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. So if you're aware, you know, Andy Muschietti is the guy that directed It. He's now doing It 2, and he's going to be working with Leonardo DiCaprio, who's going to be producing The Time Machine. So the classic story about the guy who goes way into the future from the Victorian England style, right? So like that Victorian England period, he goes way into the future and finds like this crazy new reality of people who live above ground, people who live below ground. I think this could be really cool. Now, while I'm not a fan of horror movies, the visual style that Andy Muschietti brought to It, from what we saw in the trailers, from what we saw in just the photos, the set photos and stuff like that were printed and published in articles and magazines, as well as just stuff online, I thought it looked really cool. Like, I liked the design of everything. So to see him take that sensibility, that darker tone, still colorful, but colorful dark, and move that into this kind of super crazy dystopian future where you have like these monsters that live above ground and live below ground. I think it could be pretty cool. Now, I'm trying to remember if I saw the original one from like back in the 50s or 60s. I'm sure I have. It's just been forever and I can't remember. I did see the one that was released in like the early 2000s. That one was not good. So hopefully, you know, we can get a good time machine movie out of it with Leonardo DiCaprio producing it. That leads me to believe that he's going to be able to help bring in the right talent and bring in the right stars to try and make this work as far as writing it, you know, all the behind the scenes stuff. And then as well as like the actors who are going to come in to actually like play these characters. What's the art design going to look like for these creatures that live above ground and below ground? What's the world going to look like, right? Because it doesn't look like our normal world. It's a very different futuristic world, way, way, way in the future. So it could be really cool. This sounds like it's got a lot of that really crazy world building that I dig. And, you know, it's a monster movie in a sense. So that could be cool too. So curious to see kind of what comes from this, who's going to be brought on board. But right now I like the fact that it's Leonardo DiCaprio producing, because that makes me think that the right people are going to be brought in to help make this vision come to life. And then with Andy Muschietti coming in to kind of build out this world and create this brand new world with his sensibilities that we've seen already from his previous work, with that kind of darker, spooky, scary stuff going on, colorful dark. I'm excited. I think this could work. So curious to see who comes on board, curious to see who they bring along as far as like writing and everything else behind the scenes stuff. Let me know what you guys think. Are you a fan of The Time Machine? Because it looks like we're getting another one. Hopefully this one's actually good. All right, we're going to move into the next story real quick. And this is coming to us from Empire. Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson are back for the Hitman's Bodyguard sequel. And this is one's going to be titled The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. And Salma Hayek looks to be coming back as well. If you did not see The Hitman's Bodyguard and you like action comedies, stop sleeping on this film. This was a surprisingly wonderful time at the movies. I went in not really knowing what to expect. I just expected Ryan Reynolds to be Ryan Reynolds. I expected Sam Jackson to be Sam Jackson based on the trailers. And that was exactly what they were in this fantastic world of a hitman's bodyguard, right? And it just worked. It worked. I was really impressed with how much fun it was. I was really impressed with the action, the back and forth chemistry that Reynolds and Jackson had. I just really dug. And when I walked out of the theater, I was super impressed and super happy I took the time to go see this film. For more information, you can check it out. It's on the review playlist, movie review playlist. So definitely excited for a sequel. I don't know kind of what the vibe is going to be, because at the ending of the film, right, it kind of sets it up that it could have something to do with Salma Hayek's character, who's Sam Jackson's wife. And with the title suggesting the same thing, I'm curious to see kind of where it goes, because Salma Hayek's character does have a surprisingly entertaining role in this film, especially when she's, locked up and she's got to escape and everything else. So dig in this. Hopefully it's as much fun as the first one. Comedy sequels can kind of take a dip. Hopefully that's not the case, since it's action comedy. And hopefully we can get something just as entertaining and just as action-packed as the first one. Because, again, really good stuff. If you didn't see it, definitely recommending you check out The Hitman's Bodyguard. All right, we're going to go ahead now and move into the movie reviews for this week. This week, again, I saw Nutcracker in the Four Realms and Bohemian Rhapsody. So stay tuned. These reviews are coming up. And then right afterwards, don't go anywhere, because we have got a lot more to cover. We're going to be taking a look at Mickey's 90th birthday celebration. What did I think were the high points? You know me, I'm a Disney fan. So what did I think were the high points? What did I really enjoy about it? We're going to take a look at movie traditions that I have in November. Maybe you have them too. Share those in the comments when we get to that section. Then we'll take a look at what's hitting theaters, what's hitting DVD, and Certified Rad. So don't go anywhere. We are going to be right back to take a look at all of that. But first, we've got movie reviews coming your way. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. The year is 1970, and four young men have decided to make music, rock music, together in London, England. Over the course of the next decade, these four young men would go from playing pubs and clubs all over the UK to selling out arenas all over the world. These four rock stars would create songs that fans today still celebrate, who are fans of great music from years past. Their talent is indisputable, and their music lives on. However, family, friends, the band itself, well, nothing lasts forever. So, does Bohemian Rhapsody deliver on the behind-the-scenes story of one of the world's greatest rock bands? Or does another film about musicians bite the dust? Let's talk about it in this review. This story begins as all stories do typically begin, and that is by introducing us to the main characters in this film. One in particular, Freddie Mercury, played by Rami Malek, gets way more development than the rest of the characters in the band, which is a problem that continues all the way through the film. In fact, the biggest problem I had with this film was that I never once could tell precisely what story they wanted to tell about the band. Was this the story of Queen and how it got started and all the way up through the Live Aid concert in 1985? Was this the story of one man, Freddie Mercury, and his talent, his family, his relationships, and his sexual exploits that eventually resulted in him being diagnosed with AIDS? Or was this a movie exploring the behind the scenes on how popular songs like Bohemian Rhapsody and Another One Bites the Dust were created and why they were created? By the time the credits rolled, I can't concretely say that I could tell which one of these stories the movie wanted to tell, which lessened my overall enjoyment of the film. So, is this a film about four men in the band named Queen and their music and the musical impact they had? Or is this about one man's sexual exploits and how he was also part of a band called Queen? I can't honestly say that I can answer that question with 100% certainty, which is unfortunate. I did enjoy all of the actors in this film and their unique personalities and how it all seemed to play together in a very believable way with this band. It didn't matter if they were in the studio recording a new song, it didn't matter if they were on the road touring, or if they were just kind of stopped on the side of a road and they were just talking with each other. The on-screen chemistry between these four young men felt believable, and it felt like they were actually a band who was trying to create rock music. Get into an argument in the studio where things start getting really heated and all of a sudden one of the band members walks off. starts playing a brand new riff. It sounds super cool, and then everybody gets pumped and they start recording a new song. One of them is continually late to rehearsal, so just start rehearsal without him. He'll pick it up. After several hours and several takes trying to get a guitar solo just right, trying to get it down perfect so it fits the song, maybe throw a joke out there and lighten the mood. That way you can get the best performance possible out of your bandmate. Acknowledging that when you're in the studio, it doesn't matter if you're sober as long as you can get your job done. Are you singing? Are you playing guitar? Are you playing the drums? Nail that track. By the end of the film, I did truly believe that these were musicians. And I'm not sure if they hung out with musicians before or during the recording of this movie, but it genuinely felt like I was watching musicians in a band, in a rock band, on the big screen. Overall, this story shines brightest when it's focused on the 4 members of Queen. Multiple times throughout this film, they reference that they're a family, and they really carry that theme all the way to finale. The way they deliver the back and forth dialogue, and again, their on-screen chemistry, it just felt genuine and believable. However, again, it being unbalanced in how it felt like a Queen movie versus a Freddie Mercury biopic, that just didn't work for me. And I'm not really sure how in the long run this is going to work for the casual movie fan who isn't already a fan of Queen. Bohemian Rhapsody is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I'm actually not going to recommend a big screen viewing of this film. I did see this in IMAX, and the sound system in there did rock my face off, which was awesome. However, the story did fail to deliver, as I couldn't concretely say what was the main story this movie wanted to tell. In short, I was disappointed in the final product. There were scenes in this movie that did actually work for me. For example, the shots with the band talking about kind of how they're creating songs, why they're creating songs, them on tour. Those moments of the band together really worked for me, but the movie as a whole did not. So, because of that, Bohemian Rhapsody will only be getting 1 high five from this guy. Bohemian Rhapsody is playing at your local movie theater right now. Maybe check this out once it's available on Redbox or video on demand. Christmas Eve is upon us in this fantastical story about a young lady who discovers that she is actually the princess of a kingdom that has 4 realms. The realms are engaged in a battle for survival ever since the disappearance of the queen, and everyone is on the hunt for the one magical key that might end the conflict and restore peace to all the realms. So, does the Nutcracker in the 4 realms deliver on the imaginative and bizarre worlds hinted at in the trailers? Or should Christmas not have come so early this year? Let's talk about it in this review. This is absolutely a PG Disney movie for the entire family to enjoy this holiday season. Some of the characters in this movie are caricatures, which means they're hyper-exaggerated versions of people, ideas, or personalities. There's plenty of predictable plot points. In fact, most of the film is one predictable plot point after another. In all, I think it's kind of what we would expect from a family PG Disney movie for the holidays. However, once the movie actually gets going and we get into the story, that's when the Disney magic takes over and really moves us into a wonderful world of make-believe. Clara, played by Mackenzie Foy, is a young lady who is trying her best to enjoy Christmas. Her mother has passed on, and so it's a struggle for her to enjoy this Christmas Eve, as well as it's a struggle for her father and her siblings. And on this Christmas Eve, her father decides to give her a Christmas gift that would have actually come from her mother. The gift is an egg that can only be opened with a very specific key that is missing. At the Christmas Eve party that they attend every year, all of the kids in the area are given gifts from her godfather, Dosselmeyer, played by Morgan Freeman. But in order to get the gift, they have to find their name, which is attached to a piece of string, and then they have to follow the string all the way through the house. And there's this just winding maze that happens through the mansion. And then once they get to the end of the string, they'll find their Christmas present is waiting for them. Clara, however, discovers that her string winds her through the house just like everyone else's, but at the end of her string, she actually discovers she's in a completely different world, and a curious little mouse has stolen the key that would be opening up the gift her mother gave her. This is where she also meets the Nutcracker, and the story is off and running from there. From the trailers, I had a pretty good idea of kind of what the tone of this film was going to be and what the film would look like. However, what I didn't realize is how much depth would go into some of the things like background details and character development and story progression as well. Drosselmeyer has a pet owl that follows Clara around throughout the whole movie. And as Clara is winding her way through the mansion, trying to find her Christmas gift, at one point she turns a corner and all of a sudden the wallpaper has the owl on it. So there's just this theme of the wise watching owl that kind of follows her throughout the movie, which I really dug. So just little background details like that, if you're paying attention, which you can do because the plot's pretty predictable, but you just pay attention to what's going on in the background and decorations and stuff like that as far as set design, and there's a lot of cool things you can see. Very clever kind of in the background stuff that I dug. Also, regarding story development and moving the story forward, we had one big surprise that I was not expecting, and that is an actual ballet performance. While Clara is actually in the Four Realms, the Sugar Plum Fairy decides to tell her about the Four Realms and give her the background on everything and what her mother was like. And in doing this, we actually get to see a ballet performance from the Nutcracker where we get to see kind of all of the story and background, and it looks incredible the way they've done it. There's different set designs and everything else that go up. It looks like a full-on ballet production. The flooring as they're floating around through the stage changes colors and designs pop up. Really great job with the ballet scenes. In all, this film is a combination of Tim Burton's visual style, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Babes in Toyland with ballet. But as I stated, there's plenty of predictable moments in this story, like regarding who are the good guys, who are the bad guys. Will Clara be able to save the day just in the nick of time, or will the Nutcracker actually die? But then we've got these creative moments, like the ballet sequence, or the Russian dolls that actually turn out to be guards that also look super creepy, and the tin soldiers and why they're dangerous, and that's because they have no heart. This film takes the expected, like I've said, lots of predictable plot points, but over the expected, we get a nice layer of the unexpected that balances things out nicely. The movie itself clocks in at 99 minutes, and we get a lot of story in just over an hour and a half. The pacing, very quick, but it stays consistent from beginning to end, and if you blink, you might miss a plot point, but you probably knew what that plot point was going to be because, again, pretty predictable. Nutcracker in the Four Realms is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am going to recommend a big screen viewing of this film if you have kids. This is a charming movie for the holidays that the family can enjoy together. There's plenty of action, there's plenty of heart, and even amidst all of that, there's still some spooky moments as well. Plus, again, just being able to enjoy the creative concepts of incorporating the ballet into the story, and just how cool and creepy those Russian doll guards looked. So because of these reasons, Nutcracker in the Four Realms will be getting at least one high five from this guy. Nutcracker in the Four Realms is playing at your local movie theater right now. Go ahead and round up the kids, get the family together, go enjoy a holiday movie, a night with the family at the theater. All right, everybody, we are back. Thank you so much for sticking around. We are going to try and get this thing finished up here for you so we can try and stay as close to 30 minutes as possible, let you get back to your Monday and get back to whatever your Monday looks like. So really quick, we are going to take a look at just two movie traditions I have in the month of November. We're going to take a look as well at Mickey's 90th celebration last night, and that took place 90 years old for Mickey Mouse. Then we're going to take a look at what's hitting theaters, what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray, finally certified rad, and then we will let you guys get to your Monday. So every November, we've got November the 5th. Remember the 5th of November. So every November the 5th, my tradition is I watch V for Vendetta, a movie that takes place on November 5th. So, of course, I watch it on November 5th. If you have not seen this movie, I think this is arguably one of the best comic book movies to date. So I am definitely going to recommend you guys check this out. If you want to read the comic book first, you can do that. This is what the graphic novel looks like. It's kind of thick, but worth it. Definitely check this out. I threw links for both in the description box below. V for Vendetta, it was made by the guys who made The Matrix, right? So really great stuff. It's about a vigilante who kind of goes on a rampage mission of revenge. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it, but really cool stuff in it, really cool fight scenes. It's basically a philosopher soldier. And yeah, really dig the story, really dig the characters, and the whole progression of everything just works super well. And again, V for Vendetta, check it out. Again, you can check out the links below if you want to pick this up. Arguably, in my opinion, one of the best comic book movies ever made. So on November the 5th, since the movie takes place November 5th, I watch V for Vendetta. Second holiday tradition, or second November tradition, is for the holidays, and that is on Thanksgiving. Always watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. If you haven't seen it, Steve Martin and John Candy are trying to get home for Thanksgiving, and trouble ensues, right? Comedic moment after comedic moment. One of the best comedies, especially for the holidays, I think ever made. It's just a wonderful, charming film, and you will laugh. You might cry. It gets a little emotional at certain points, but it will definitely entertain you for the holidays. So check it out. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Definitely worth it. Fantastic work by Steve Martin and the late, great John Candy. So there you go. All right, let's take a look at Mickey's 90th. So Mickey Mouse turned 90 years old, and ABC and Disney put on a little presentation last night, which I watched, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a nice retrospective on what happened with Mickey Mouse over the years, from Steamboat Willie, actually before Steamboat Willie, how he was called Mortimer Mouse. And then Walt Disney's wife was like, no, we can't do Mortimer. You got to change it to something else. Change it to Mickey. So Mickey Mouse was born, right? Steamboat Willie, and now coming all the way forward from Steamboat Willie to what we have, Mickey Mouse all over the world. And what I liked about the show last night is it really showcased like how much of a reach, how much impact Mickey Mouse and Disney have across the globe. They did a really cool thing where they were showing different countries and what Mickey Mouse looks like in those different countries, even today, like the cartoon shows for Mickey Mouse today. I thought it was super cool. I really like the look back. They brought on 2 of the original Mouseketeers from the Mouseketeers show forever ago. And I thought that was super cool to see some of the very first Mouseketeers ever brought back on stage just to kind of share that moment all these years later. 2 performances that I really liked. Really simply, the Zac Brown Band. I'm a big fan of Zac Brown Band. Country music, hit or miss for me, but the Zac Brown Band, these guys are super talents, just musically, right? You can not like country music, but if you like music and you like talented musicians and artists, Zac Brown Band is where it's at. So Zac Brown Band came on. They did the Bare Necessities. I thought that was really good. And then along with that, Tori Kelly came back. And Tori Kelly is an artist I was not familiar with at all. And then 2 years ago, on Disney's 60th anniversary, she came on, and with Kermit the Frog, she sang Rainbow Connection. And I was like, holy moly, this lady has got a great voice. She sounds like an angel. Like, it just, her voice was floating. It was perfect pitches. Like, I just was blown. I was like, who is this chick? And I've never heard of her before. And then she comes on and she's singing with Kermit, and she just knocked it out of the park. I was like, this is great stuff. So she came back and she did Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas. And I was like, holy moly, she's back again. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. Disney. So she's working with Disney. So that's cool. And again, another great performance. Her and her guitar singing the song. The stage design for the set, lots of colors and smoke. It looked super good. And again, she's just got a great voice. So go ahead and check those 2 out. You can find them on YouTube. Her singing Rainbow Connection and then Colors of the Wind. Great stuff. Also, see if you can find Zac Brown Band's Bare Necessities. Lots of fun. So there you go. Really enjoyed the Mickey's 90th special. If you didn't see it, check it out. Especially if you like Disney like I do and you want to kind of take a look back at the history of Mickey Mouse and then kind of what has been his influence and everything like that from his original creation up to Steamboat Willie to present day. Worth it. Check it out. All right. So there you go. Let's take a look now real quick. Let's finish this week's show off by taking a look at what's hitting theaters, what's hitting DVD, and certified rad. So here we go. In theaters this week, we have Overlord, The Grinch, and The Girl in the Spider's Web. Out of these 3 films, the 2 I'm looking forward to are The Grinch and Overlord. Not too familiar with The Girl in the Spider's Web. Didn't see The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, so I'm not sure if I need to see that first before seeing this one. If you saw it, if you know, I think they're books. If you've read the books, go ahead and comment below and let me know. Is this a film you can see without seeing the first one, or do you need to go back and watch it to understand what's going on? Let us know. All right, The Grinch, definitely looking forward to this. Benedict Cumberbatch as everybody's favorite green hairy monster for the holidays, The Grinch. And Overlord just looks like it's going to be a crazy, weird, like World War II monster movie. So looking forward to both of these films. But again, let me know what you think about The Girl in the Spider's Web if you've read the books or seen the first movie in the comments section. All right, coming out on DVD and Blu-ray this week, we have Papillon, Incredibles 2, Christopher Robin, Black Klansman, and Loving Pablo. Out of these 5 films, I have seen and reviewed Incredibles 2 and Christopher Robin. Both of these movies I am going to recommend you check out. Christopher Robin was a surprisingly great film, as was Incredibles 2. But to be honest, Incredibles 2 wasn't as surprisingly great because I already thought it was going to be great Christopher Robin, I didn't know what to expect, and it really touched the heart. It really told a good story. Really dug it. Papillon was a remake. Didn't see the first one. Didn't see the remake, so can't comment on it. Black Klansman, heard a lot of good things about it. Loving Pablo. I didn't hear too much about it, but it's got a pretty good cast, so maybe check it out. All right, let's go ahead and move into the final segment this week, which is Certified Rad. So if you're new to the show, Certified Rad is just something I find, something someone sends me. Could be a book, could be a story about people helping people, it could be a piece of tech, and we do a quick tech gear review, it could be music, whatever the case may be. If it's rad, I'll check it out. If it's definitely rad, we'll certify it rad every week right here on this channel to close out the show. So this week, here in the States, for all the people that watch this show over in Germany, Poland, India, and the UK, this Certified Rad segment isn't really going to be too big for you guys because this is very specific to us here in the United States. So tomorrow we've got a big day here in the United States. It is Election Day. That's right, Election Day. So Certified Rad this week, we're just going to take a minute to appreciate the value that we have as Americans, that we can actually voice our opinions in a way that counts, right? So our voice, as we cast those ballots, it lets people know this is what we want for our country. We like the way it's going, or we want change. Either way, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, your vote counts, and your vote speaks to what you would like to see from your country. What's the direction you want your country to go? That's why you vote, right? It's not just so you can say that you voted and get a sticker. It's not so you can say that, you know, you're part of the red party, or you're part of the blue party or the green party or whatever. It's so you can have an opportunity to say, look, I like what's happening, or I don't like what's happening, and this is what I would like to see from my country going forward. It's really important that you get out and vote. And a lot of people go, you know, I really don't know like where to vote. Where can I vote? Where can I vote? It's so hard to find my polling station. So I went ahead and just made it super simple for you guys. And I put together just this little graphic here. Just let me get it set up here real quick. And boom, there it is. Down below in the description box, you will see that there is the USA.gov website. And you can see by the arrow there, find your polling location. So super simple, guys. If you can go online and you can search Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and however many other social media apps there are out there, you can take a minute just to hop online, USA.gov, find your polling location, and then head out tomorrow and cast your vote if you haven't yet. Again, this isn't about like getting a sticker. This is about letting people know what you think about the state of your country. Do you want to see it continue forward? Do you want to see it change? Whatever you want, that's why you cast your vote. Let your voice be heard in the voting booth tomorrow. So when you take a minute and you really take a look at your country and you say, this is my country, right? This is our country. This is America. And this is what we want to see from it. We want to see it go this way, or we want to see it go that way. It doesn't matter. But when you take the time to step into the box to make your voice heard, you can guarantee that that is certified rad. So go ahead and make sure that you go check that out, the USA.gov website, find your polling location, get out tomorrow, cast your vote, let your voice be heard. Again, which way do you want to go? Doesn't matter. It's a secret ballot. You don't have to tell me anything. Just make sure you go do it and get your voice out there and you get your voice heard. All right, everybody, I'm Jeremy Brunansky. This is Brunansky's Vlog. Thank you so much for joining me again this week for another brand new episode right here on YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give me the thumbs up, because again, the thumbs up helps people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. Also, don't forget to click the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get the notifications, and I hope you guys are able to get out to see some movies this week. You just heard we got some great ones hitting DVD. We got some great ones coming out in theaters. So there is a little bit of something for everybody, and I hope you're able to enjoy all that the movies have to offer. Also, don't forget to vote. All right, everybody, I'm Jeremy Brunansky. I'm getting out of here. It's a little over 30 minutes. Long-winded Jeremy has taken over yet again for another week. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you here next Monday right here on YouTube at 10 a.m., hopefully PST, hopefully not MST like this week, but hopefully we can get it back on track. We'll stay tuned to Twitter. Twitter is where I do the updates, so if you're following us on Twitter, you'll get the updates about the time. 10 a.m. MST, 10 a.m. PST. Follow us there. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great week. Hope you have a great time at the voting polls. Hope you meet some cool people that think like you. Hopefully you meet some cool people that don't think like you, and they can challenge you in fun and creative ways to think outside of the box. Get out there, mix and mingle, hear some different points of view. Have a great time. We'll see you next Monday, 10 a.m. right here on YouTube. And until then, and as always, good night and good luck.